All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, and not only are we just 3 days from Halloween, happy Halloween to everybody who observes, but we're also in week 9 of the NFL. We're finished with week 7, we finished with week 8, so what comes after 7 and 8? I guess it's 9. Usually I'd make a couple jokes, but I have to address the fact that I went 6 and 7 last week. Very, very bad week of pick'em for me. I thought there was going to be 3 upsets that just didn't happen. I thought the Broncos would lose. I thought the Saints were going to win. And one other game where I just picked the wrong team. No, it was a game I was going to pick the Jets in an upset, but like I completely just was like, that's not going to happen. So I had a bad week. Went 6 and 7, 3 games difference. I'm 9 and 4. You know what I mean? It happens. Let's hope that week 9's a good week. Let's hope we get all the games good. I thought about these games for a good second, so hopefully we do better this time around than we did last week. Before we jump into everything, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Those 2 things help out our channel tremendously. We're almost at like 10,000. We're like 200 away, which is pretty crazy. Like 230. Pretty good. Also, make sure, and the most important thing is that you leave your picks down below in a comment. Comment how you think my picks are, how you think I'm doing, how you're doing, what your overall record is, what you did last week, and of course the picks. What are your picks for this week? I like to do a head-to-head thing, see who's doing better, see who's doing what. I'm sure everybody beat me last week, so I have to deal with that, but yeah, that's pretty much all the YouTube stuff out of the way. Like, subscribe if you want to. That's not a big deal. But the big deal is to make sure you leave your picks. Make sure you leave your thoughts down below. I get back to all of those as soon as I can. I'm busy with class usually in that for the next couple days. But we get it done when we get it done. All right. Our pick'em record, as we just discussed, it's last week was a total failure at 6 and 7, an oof week. We've been 500 the entire year prior. That brings us to a not so great, but not so bad 74, 46, and 1. Still, I think 46 and 46, not doing so great. Double up our wins, we're under 5. Double up the losses, we're under 500. Don't like to see that. But yeah, let's hope we have a good week. Some buys this week, only 14 games to go over. Browns, Jets, Eagles, and Buccaneers get the week off. If you're an Eagles and Bucks fan, you're watching to see if people around you lose. And the Browns and Jets, you're just, you're happy you're not losing this week. Though it is reported the Browns may have lost this week, as they are going to keep Kevin Stefanski as the head coach. What a sad thing. Dolphins lost this week too. They're keeping Mike McDaniel. How are the Dolphins going to win a game and then be the losers of that game at the same point? Because they're going to keep Tua and McDaniel for probably another season based on that win. So that sucks. Cops just flew by. Anyway, Thursday night football. Ooh, big exciting game. Speak of the Dolphins. The Baltimore Ravens take on the Miami Dolphins. Ravens are 7.5 point favorites with an over under of 49.5. By the way, the lines are always included from FanDuel. I don't let them influence the picks I make. They're just kind of there, and then I put them in right before I make my picks. So Ravens coming off a win over the Bears 30-16. They may have Lamar back. We'll see. Dolphins beat up on the Falcons 34-10. I have a theory that the Ravens are probably going to only they'll probably go like 10 and 7 or 11 and 6 for the rest of the season. I don't really see them losing a lot of games. They're going to get Lamar back. They suddenly looked like they could play defense again. All of a sudden, they suddenly looked like they were the Ravens again. They looked a lot more like the team we thought they were going to be when the season started, against a team offensively that had been very good for like 4 straight weeks or 5 straight weeks in the Bears. Like they had been on point for a while, and then they faced a decent team and kind of got shit on. So Ravens, though, they look good. Dolphins beat a Falcons team that's a fraudulent team we don't really care about. When a team beats the Falcons, everybody beats the Falcons. I just don't know if I can trust the Dolphins against defense that might have found its teeth. The Dolphins beat, I don't really think much of Miami this year. Not a very good team. Ravens haven't been, but like if they can do what they did against the Bears, they'll beat Miami. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one in kind of a who gives a shit game at this point in the year. The Chicago Bears take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Bears are 2.5 point favorites with an over under of 51.5. Bears are 4-3 off that loss we just talked about, and the Bengals are 3-5 after a tough loss to the Jets, 39-38. While the Bengals don't have a defense and the Bears should be able to keep in this game, I can't really trust the Bears team playing any team that resembles a competent offense because they just lost to Huntley. I'm guessing Flacco and his receivers are going to torch that Bears defense. Very similar to what Detroit probably did. Just throw the ball all day against them. You can kind of throw it all over. Huntley lit them up. They lit them up on the ground. The Bengals do have a good offense. Like, they can score points. It's just like, can the other team's offense keep up? And we haven't really seen Chicago, even when they've been winning, play a full game of like 20, like a 1 hour football, 60 minutes, 4 full quarters, you know? So it's kind of hard to take the Bears, even when the Jets or even when the Bengals are coming off the game they just had. It's like, yeah, the Bears will score, but like, will they score enough? I don't think so. Not right now. I like the Bengals. This one's easy. Minnesota Vikings take on the Lions. Lions are 8.5 point favorites with an over under of 47.5. Lions 5-2 coming off a bye at home. They're going to be real tough to beat. Vikings are 3-4 with a 37-10 loss to the Chargers. They'll be starting JJ McCarthy against one of the NFL's best defenses this year in the Lions. Lions should be healthier. They should have a lot of their secondary back. They'll have some of those other guys in there. That'll be something. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know. If the Vikings are nowhere near right now as good as the Bucs. So I'm imagining that even with the division opponent situation, I really don't think the Vikings are like equipped to take on the Lions right now. I don't know if their defense has anything to stop that offense that Detroit has. And I really don't know if Minnesota's offense can overcome Detroit's defense, especially the offensive line woes. Detroit's defensive line is dominant right now. That defensive front, very scary. So I'm imagining they kind of put the pressure on this one. Detroit really doesn't like Minnesota, so there's going to be some extra like beat 'em. The home crowd's going to be very, very obnoxious. So give me the Lions in this one. Well, this game's kind of an asterisk. The Panthers take on the Packers. Packers are 12.5 point favorites with an over under of 44.5. Panthers are 4-4 off a tough 40-8 loss to the Bills, and the Packers won against the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers 35-25. They beat A-Rod. It's not that I think the Packers are like way better than the Panthers this year, which I mean they are, but it's not like not crazy. I don't know if they don't have Bryce Young in this game. It's going to be a lot like what the Bills did to him. I feel like the Panthers sort of need Bryce Young to be functioning. And I also wonder if like the Packers defense is going to be too much for the Panthers, kind of weak and limited offense, kind of one-dimensional offense for right now, especially without Bryce Young. So I'll kind of review this game, but I don't think Bryce Young playing changes my pick. I feel like it'll be closer, like a 28-24 type of game if Young plays, but I don't think, like, if he's not playing, there's no conscionable, like, you can't really pick the Panthers over the Packers. Maybe if it was in Carolina, there might be something. This will be a really good game. The Denver Broncos take on the Houston Texans. Texans are 1.5 point favorites with an over under of 39.5. Broncos off a big win against the Cowboys, 44-24. Texans coming off a win off the 49ers, 26-15. Yeah, so basically I have to see the Texans consistently beat good teams before I can like pick them. I wonder if their offense is going to be able to do enough against the Broncos' very, very good defense. Like, I know Denver will struggle with the Texans' defense, but I just don't know if the Texans will be able to get any points on the Denver defense when one of Houston's problems this year has been, like, consistently scoring points and, like, getting long, sustaining drives. That hasn't been happening this year. So, with a bad line and sort of inconsistent play at offense, I wonder if Denver can kind of take advantage of that and sort of mold the game around sort of a low scoring game that kind of favors the Denver Broncos, maybe put it in the 20s. Because Houston could have scored way more against the 49ers. They were just only hitting field goals for some reason. So offensive problems has me a little bit on a pause with this game. That's why I'm going Denver. If Houston had been consistent, this probably wouldn't be much of a game to pick. The Atlanta Falcons take on the Patriots. Patriots are 5.5 point favorites with an over under of 45.5. Patriots are 6-2, one of the best teams in the league. First place in the AFC East, second place in the AFC. They won 32-13 against the Browns, destroyed them, dismantled one of the best defenses in the NFL, DVAO of 5 for the Browns. And then the Falcons, terrible team, should never have picked them. They lost to the Dolphins in a hilarious fashion. I'm done with that team. We're not picking the Falcons anymore. Even when you have to pick the Falcons like you did against the Dolphins, they let you down. That's all this team is capable of. Wouldn't be surprised if they win 3-14. 10 straight losses. It seems very likely for Atlanta. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not picking them anymore. I wasn't going to pick them in this game anyway because the Patriots have arguably the best run defense in football, and the Falcons kind of build their offense off the run. So naturally, the Patriots shut down the run, make Penix or whoever the fuck throw it to beat them. They don't have the receivers to compete against our secondary. This is a nightmare game for the Falcons. The 49ers take on the Giants. 49ers are 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 48.5. 49ers are 5-3 off a win against the Texans, or a loss to the Texans we just talked about. And the Giants are 2-6 after a pretty sad loss to the Eagles, in which they lost Cam Scatterbo. Very sad. Hopefully he gets better soon. I'm going to go with the Niners here. I know it's like an East Coast game for a team that doesn't... I don't remember if they play well in the East Coast. With the Giants losing players the way that they just did, I feel like that's going to mess their offense up because, again, they kind of built off the run. They kind of everything generated from Cam. In the games, they were able to be successful. Plus, I just don't know if they'll be able to get a lot going against like a really good defense that's going to be really well coached and kind of shut down a team of rookies and a very young team. And I'm guessing the Niners can do just enough against the Giants defense that hasn't been great all year, has been kind of inconsistent, a little bit sloppy, a little bit like you can beat them if you work hard enough. So, yeah, I feel like if Scatterbo was playing, I'd have took the Giants in an upset. This game has upset written all over it, the Colts and Steelers, but like, I'm still gonna go. I'm not gonna be the guy to pick the Steelers after I missed every single upset pick last week. I have a couple of teams winning against the spread, just just not this one. Colts take on the Steelers. Colts are 3-point favorites with an over under of 50.5. Colts beat the Titans 38-14, and the Steelers, as we just talked about, lost to the Packers. They're 4-3. I'm going to go with the Colts. I don't really see the Steelers being able to slow down Jonathan Taylor. I don't really see them being able to stop this Colts high-powered offense. And then I don't know, the Colts have been playing good enough defense to win games. The Steelers offense kind of is super streaky, kind of inconsistent, has moments where it looks really good, then it looks kind of poor, like it's being ran by a 40-year-old quarterback. So there are these moments where the Steelers seem pretty beatable, and if they have like bad moments against a team like the Colts, that might doom them. 1 or 2 turnovers, and they'll probably lose that game, and it won't be close. Because Indy scores very frequently, so kind of have to keep that in mind. At this point, it's kind of just like a gut check with a game like this. It's like, yeah, Steelers usually upset teams like this, but I don't know about this year. Chargers take on the Titans. Chargers are 10.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. Chargers off a win against the Vikings. We talked about that. They're 5-3. Titans fall to 1-7 after their loss to the Colts. They have another number 1 pick this year, it looks like. Jets won a game. So that's cool. I don't know. It could be a fun game if you like the Chargers. You know, it's just like, hey, look how good our offense and defense look. It's cool to see Cam Ward, you know, like it's not a total loss to this game if you're the Chargers. Like you'll win, but like, you know, if you don't, all the pressure's on the Chargers, ironically, in this game. Yeah, you know, if the Chargers lose this game, their season's over. They're not going to be a playoff team. All right, let's go on to the 4 o'clock games. The Saints take on the Rams. Rams coming off a bye at home, so they're going to be near unbeatable. Rams are 14.5-point favorites with an over-under of 43.5. I think that's the biggest line of the weekend. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. You know, the Saints usually always beat the Buccaneers, and they like if they'd have just scored, they'd have beat the Bucs. It's like the Bucs played horribly against the Saints. There was like, they have like 5 turnovers, and the Saints still lost that game. Quarterback situation's kind of screwed. Rattler's not terrible, but like he just does nothing. Defense ain't great in New Orleans. It's okay. Offense is non-existent. I'm guessing Kamara is going to be traded at some point soon. I don't know. I got the Rams, and I don't really suspect this game to be very close. Nobody does. This is a very funny game. Jaguars play the Raiders, and both teams are coming off their bye weeks. I wonder if that's like ever I wonder how rare it is for 2 teams to play each other off a bye. Jags are favored by 3 with an over-under of 44.5. I don't know. I got the Jaguars. I still don't think the Raiders have an offensive line. They have poor quarterback play, poor receivers. They have a good running back. Defense isn't good. You know what I mean? It's almost like, well, what reason would you have to pick the Raiders other than The Jaguars are like sliding backwards for some reason. I don't know. Crappy game. Game of the week. Kansas City Chiefs take on the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites with an over-under of 52.5. Chiefs coming off their win against the Commanders, 28-7. Bills beat the Panthers 40-9. So I look at this game and I wonder, all right, who's having a better year right now? Who looks like a better team? The Bills. Now, who looks like a better team the last couple weeks? The Chiefs. So now we're kind of like stuck there. It's like, all right, kind of a wash. Basically the same record, very weirdly similar seasons. Chiefs kind of struggled early, found their way. Bills kind of been inconsistent on offense, and they look really good. They look really bad. You know what I mean? It's kind of up and down, up and down. But this is a regular season game, so credit one to Buffalo. It's in Buffalo. Credit two to Buffalo. So again, you kind of have these pillars of the game you like to look at, right? It's kind of like, all right, what's a wash and what's not? The Bills and the Chiefs offensively. Kind of a wash at this point in the year because like both teams have looked good on offense. They both look bad. Defensively, I'll go with the Chiefs. That's one for the Chiefs. Again, the home team, regular season, that's two for the Bills, right? The Bills usually do much better against Kansas City in the regular season than they do in the playoffs. They're at like a 2-1 thing going on right now, like how they usually play Bills, how they the home field advantage in this game, because it's going to be close no matter what. These are very even teams. Special teams, kind of a wash. So again, we're kind of looking at like a 2-1 situation. Coaching kind of feels like, I guess I'll give it to Reed. So we're at 2-2. Again, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, the Chiefs have looked really good, but also like they also beat the Lions, so that's very impressive. I don't know. And the Bills, really, the only bad Bills loss is to like their division, like the Falcons and the Patriots. I don't know. I'm going with the Bills in this one, mainly because the Bills usually win the regular season game and they're in Buffalo. That's like the two biggest reasons I'm going Buffalo. If this was in Kansas City, I'd probably go Kansas City. These feel like very evenly matched teams right now. It's very hard to be like, well, they do this better, but then also Kansas City has shown moments they do this better, but the Bills have also shown that they do this better. Again, so they've kind of been both streaky and kind of inconsistent, but then like they look really great, then they look kind of like, what the hell's going on? I don't know. I feel like the Bills have been slightly more consistent than the Chiefs this year, and that's just like a gut feeling. I don't know. This is a tough game to pick, especially like right now. If this was the Chiefs from 2 weeks ago, this would just be like, all right, I got the Bills. But again, two very familiar teams. Kind of look to how things usually play out. I'm gonna go Bills. Sunday Night Football. The Seahawks take on the Commanders. Seahawks are 5-2 after coming off a bye. Washington is 3-5 off a loss to the Chiefs. Seahawks are 3.5 point favorites with an over-under of 46.5. Kind of an asterisk on this game. If Jaden Daniels doesn't play, the Seahawks are going to win. I can't really imagine the game in which their offense, which is very built around Daniels already and kind of centered around what he does well, I see that kind of continuing to be an issue if they have to run out Jacoby Brissett, I'm guessing. I don't really know who's their quarterback. I feel like it doesn't really matter too much. Basically, Marcus Mariota, that's right, Mariota. I'm not gonna pick him. Also, the Seahawks are devils on the road. Like, they are just, Mike McDonald is like the cruelest road coach in all of football. So you got kind of like a beat up Commanders team who isn't playing well against the Seahawks team coming off a bye, a road warrior team. I gotta go Seahawks in this one. And Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. Arizona takes on the Cardinals take on the Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 3 with an over-under of 53.5. Cowboys 3-4-1 off a bad loss to the Broncos. And the Cardinals are 2-5 off a bye. I'm going to go Dallas. Honestly, this is a who gives a shit game. Neither of these two teams are playoff teams. But I don't know. Cowboys seem a little bit healthier. If the Cardinals don't have Kyler, they'll probably lose. That might actually, I don't fuck cares. I just picked the Cowboys. I'm going to be very honest. This was the only game, this one, and there was one other game that I can't remember off the top of my head that I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to just pick a team to win. Jaguars Raiders, that was the other one. I have no You could convince me that the other team is going to win very easily. But that kind of wraps up our week 9 pick video. That's another video down the drain in the dump and tubes, and the disposal is turned on. It's grinding. It's in this weird little thing under the sink where I don't really know what happens to it. I think it washed out into the sewer, then it comes back in through the toilet, and then you piss and shit all over it. And yeah, that's what happened. Week 9 down the drain. It's done. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you made it all the way out here, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, leave your picks down below. The most important thing, what your picks are, how your records are, see on the season for last week, whatever you feel like you want to comment, just make sure you get it down below. And yeah, that's basically that. Make sure you have a good rest of your day, night, morning, mid afternoon, mid evening, late evening, late night, early night, midnight. That time between like 4 and 5 a.m. where it's like, what time of day is this? I don't know. Like morning-ish, night-ish, dawn-ish? I don't know. Either way, have a good one whenever you do listen. Take it easy. As always, it's go Lions, go Tigers, and of course, it's always go first place New England Patriots. Have a good day. Bye-bye. All right. All right, you want to press stop? And what do you... Can you press stop? Motherfucker.